Hi, it's Mike here. So this is a second DNA video that I'm doing. It is about the complexity in trees, flowers and birds' feathers. So the DNA is the most complex digitally coded software on Earth. But not a lot of people know that the absolute complexity of DNA and how much information is all in all biological living things. Did it really evolve? Well, let's have a deep dive. So this DNA video explores the hidden complexity of trees, flowers and birds' feathers. So there's a pine cone on the right and an acorn on the left. So this video will highlighting how DNA stores vast amounts of information and directs highly specific biological outcomes with striking precision. So you look there on the left, you got the acorn, and at the very end of its yearly growth, the acorns are there again. And we know we've got ancient oak trees. So the acorn to an oak tree, seed to a flower, and the intricate feather. What do they reveal about DNA? Well, did DNA evolve? So the acorn to an oak tree is genetically timed information becoming form. The English oak, from many scientific published haploid genome studies, and anyone can go to these, is about 814 million base pairs, which corresponds to roughly 1.63 billion bits, or about 204 megabytes of raw digital data capacity per cell. And the oak genomes also contain tens of thousands of protein coding genes, along with regulatory regions and repeated elements linked to resilience, repair and longevity. And it contains the precise automated instructions to draw up water up a 30-meter tall trunk, produce over 500,000 leaves every single spring, survive, some of them, for over 1,000 years by adapting with the information in the DNA to shifting climates and diseases. Now consider this. The oak tree, or any other tree, grows from all the digital coded information in the seed, acorn. And the acorn, or any tree seed, only develops in the later stage of the seasonal yearly growth by the stored digital information in the tree's DNA, which comes from the seed itself. So how does that happen? Via evolution. What came first, the tree or the seed? What came first? It's a chicken and egg problem. The acorn or the oak tree, which has, at the end of its yearly growth, acorns. So those published haploid genome studies there of those 204 megabytes of raw digital data capacity per cell can be compared to a physical library shelf packed with 330 thick 400-page novels. The entire life's work of Charles Dickens multiplied 7 times over, or 42 complete box sets of the Harry Potter series. The overall estimated digital data capacity of all the cells in an average 50-year-old oak tree is roughly 1.5 zettabytes of information, or 1,500 exabytes. For perspective, this is enough capacity to store hundreds of times the entire collection of digital data output of human civilization. And it's easy to find the peer-reviewed scientific papers of all these facts about DNA information in any kind of biological life. but not many people go that deep. You can use AI to find the scientific papers and search out the research of the biological digital capacity of anything biological. Absolutely anything. And it's all absolutely mind-blowing. So there we've got the pine cone, which is in the Fibonacci sequence. And a single pine cone seed contains roughly 30,000 gigabytes, that's 30 terabytes, to 60,000 gigabytes of unique digital data across its cells, while a mature 50-foot pine tree holds a staggering 600 billion terabytes, that's 600 zettabytes, of collective raw genetic information across its entire cellular structure. You can check this out for yourself, the staggering DNA complexity of any tree, flower, or their seed, and that goes for anything biological, any tree or flower. There is no empirical evidence that's observed and tested for any of this complexity evolving by random chance. Just assumptions, imaginative stories, and just so, there's nothing. Search it out for yourself. So here we have a chrysanthemum following the precise order of the genetic information in the DNA of the seed. And every plant and tree slowly grows in this amazing, symmetrical, planned way. And every tree and plant has its own unique DNA coded digital instructions. Where do you think all this information comes from? So a typical flower blossom, for example the cultivated chrysanthemum, the scientifically published haploid genome assembly is about 8.15 billion base pairs, which corresponds to roughly 16.3 billion bits, or about 2.04 gigabytes of raw coded digital capacity. Their symmetry, petal numbers, colour patterns and seed arrangements often follow a striking mathematical order, like the Fibonacci 1.68 golden ratio. And these patterns are tied to hormone transport, especially auxin, which forms and determines where floral organs begin. Once the hormone transport starts, especially the auxin, the floral organs begin to formulate. Then another regulatory system takes over. Overlapping gene networks help determine whether a structure becomes a sepal, a petal, a stamen, or a carpel. The complex beauty of the flower is tightly timed process involving hormones, regulatory genes, and tissue growth. There are no evolutionary, scientific, empirical explanations. A flower is far more than just beautiful decoration. Its geometry, biochemistry, and regulation working together with remarkable effect via the complex informational instructions in the DNA. Every beautiful flower has its own unique set of amazing coded DNA. There is no evolution here, no matter what you think. So there's a picture of a beautiful flower from one of my neighbour's gardens. And look at the colours on that. And we've got a light pink and then a dark pink. Then we've got all these lovely little patterns, symmetrical, and a lovely, yellow and pink. It's so beautiful. It matches so wonderfully. And then we've got these pink stamens. This is divinely engineered design at the very highest level. Bird's feathers. Only birds have feathers, and every bird has them. So the bird's feather is living architecture in motion. Feathers are the clearest visual example of biological engineering in motion. A single feather contains a central shaft, branching barbs and interlocking barbules that form a light but functional surface. These structures develop inside follicles through controlled growth, signalling pathways and cell differentiation. Feather form emerges through a regulated development program. That program is flexible enough to produce insulating down, contour feathers and flight feathers that help control airflow. Small regulated changes can affect length, symmetry, colour, orientation and placement across the body. For the Indian blue peacock, a published genome assembly is about 1.1 billion base pairs, which corresponds to roughly 4.4 billion bits or about 500 megabytes of raw digital DNA capacity per cell. So, there are several different feather types. You have the flight feather, and you notice the shaft is slightly to the right. So birds' flight feathers, they are designed by the DNA to, on opposite sides. The shaft is on an opposite side. It's designed for flight. Yeah, they're tail feathers, the shaft's usually right in the middle. Then we have contour feathers. We have semi-plume feathers, lots of different kinds. There's another one. We have down feathers. We have bristle feathers. So it's absolutely amazing that we have all this complexity of the feathers. All bird species across the world have their own unique DNA genomic complex designed code. So the complex stages of a feather growth via the DNA instruction.
Inside the tube, the feather is organizing. Here is a cross-section of what is happening. The center is just supporting cells, providing a frame for the feather cells to stay in place. You can also see the blood vessels in here. On the outside is the protective waxy cylinder. The feather, in red, has several barbs, and these little lines are barbules, the smallest parts of the feather.
Feathers are made of keratin, just like our hair and fingernails, making them durable and long-lasting, but also light and bendable. The feather base is called a quill or a calamus. This part of the feather is hard and hollow.
It's only hollow at the very end of the process.
Above the quill is the rachis or central shaft. From here, small barbs grow out. You can think of each barb as a smaller feather with smaller barbs of its own branching out. These smaller barbs are called barbules. On one side of the barb shaft, the barbules are smooth. On the other side, the barbules have tiny hooks called barbicels. These hook onto the smooth barbules on the neighboring barb. When all of the barbicels are hooked, the feather is smooth, which makes it more aerodynamic, water repellent, and comfortable for the bird. When you see birds preening, they're dragging their feathers through their beak, zipping up the barbules so that the feathers lay flat. These feathers that hook together and lie flat are called pennaceous feathers.
So there we have it close up of the little tiny barbs, barbules and hooks. And every minuscule barb, barbule and hook must be in exactly the right place on the shaft. So there's a closer picture, and so if you look at those little tiny barbules and hooks, it's just incredible. There's no way evolution could do this. Even if it had 400 billion years, it couldn't do it. It has to be designed and planned forethought. This is just a time-lapse photography of birds' feathers growing. There's lots of science about this, and there's no science that can tell you how it evolved. None. So let's just consider what random chance mutations and natural selection via the evolution paradigm could not do to accomplish the beautiful, magnificent design and engineering of all birds' feathers. Now that video on the left I took when I was visiting my brother-in-law's little workshop where he ties hooks for fly fishing, and he has all these amazing feathers, and I got inspired. I just thought, wow, the incredible patterns on these feathers and the complexity of them all. I just had to look further, deeper. So the DNA information must know which type of feather is needed and where on the bird's body on each individual bird. It has to have the DNA information to position and time the growth of each type of feather. The DNA must have the complex instructions to build each minuscule barb in the right place on the correct feather, just like our Velcro. The design of the colour and pattern and bird's unique feathers are all in the DNA program instructions. Why would beautiful colours and patterns be part of an assumed evolutionary process? The estimated microstructural breakdown of a peacock's flight feather. So the barbs, 600 to 1,000 per feather. A standard flight feather features several hundred parallel barbs branching out from both sides. The barbules, 200,000 to 400,000 per feather. Each individual barb houses small secondary branches spreading outwards. The hooks, the barbie cells, 1 million to 2 million per feather. Tiny microhooks, hooklets, are located on the downward edges of the distal barbules, with roughly 4 to 5 hooks per individual distal barbule. They zip into adjacent groove proximal barbules just like Velcro. All this minuscule engineered complexity is in just one flight feather. There are no scientific evolutionary papers that can logically, empirically explain any of this, and I challenge anyone to go to the scientific papers and prove me wrong. In Genesis 1 verse 21 it says, "And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good." Verse Genesis 29, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." So think about apples, oranges, lemons. We have coconuts. This is the seed on the trees, and the seed grows the tree itself. It was created. Darwin once wrote, "The sight of a feather in a peacock's tail, whenever I gaze at it, makes me sick." Well, if Darwin knew about the modern discoveries, and that peacock's laughing here, the complexities of the peacock's tail, he would have even greater reason to feel sick. And we've got all the information about the complexity of life now from the genome program. So, in contrast, when I, as a Christian, look at the tail of a peacock, I and any Christian can feel a wonderful assurance that there is a Creator who is infinite in wisdom, and that the Creator has for mankind put such amazing beauty into the world. An adult peacock contains roughly 500 megabytes of unique genetic data per cell, which scales up to a staggering 2.75 zettabytes of cumulative data across its entire body. How does this happen? By evolution. The white-tailed eagle. Information layer, biological function, required data capacity. The master source code, 325 megabytes. The body plan coordinates, the spatial 3D blueprint, Hox matrix, 200 kilobytes. Active execution data, on-off switches, epigenome. How does evolution do on-off switches? 1.2 gigabytes. The total hardware capacity to store and execute the entire Eagle program, 1.5 gigabytes. The ultimate engineering marvel. From an information systems perspective, this is an astonishing feat of engineering. Man-made modern flight software, that's man-made modern flight software, for a commercial airliner or a fighter jet can require tens of gigabytes of digital code just to manage the navigation and mechanical control. By contrast, the biological software required to build the physical flesh, bones, aerodynamic feathers, self-healing systems, and apex predatory instincts of a living eagle is compressed into a master cell file of just 325 megabytes, expanding to an active operational footprint of 1.5 gigabytes. And if you sum the raw digital data physically packed into every single cell of a fully grown eagle, the total overall capacity is an astronomical 2,600 exabytes of data, or 2.6 billion terabytes. To put this number into perspective, that's enough DNA data capacity to store the entire human internet several times over, all walking, flying and breathing inside one single majestic bird. The created natural world boasts an incredible variety of life. Earth is estimated to host approximately 11,000 species of magnificent birds, all with a unique DNA. 73,300 species of majestic trees, and between 369,000 to 400,000 species of beautiful flowering plants. Every one of those species has a complex DNA, digitally coded informational, programmed and designed plan. And you can search out the digital capacity of any of them and you will be amazed. So the strict logic, any biomachine, anything living, cannot evolve piece by piece if it requires all parts to function in the first place. Irreducible complexity. For example, the symbiotic human body systems, we have the lungs, we have the heart, we have the overall blood circulation, we have the bone structure, it all has to be in place at one time. All of it, the nervous system, the brain, the eye to the brain, and all its complex neurological pathways. The mathematical conclusion. Because high information density and digital code are only observed to originate from an intelligent agent, like computer programmers writing software, the presence of vast digital information inside any of the species above is logically and mathematically best explained by an intelligent primary cause, a divine mind, a creator. Now this is just 1 teaspoon of complex coded digital DNA information. Just think about the amount of storage capacity in 1 teaspoon of DNA. And this video is by J.C. Gert, PhD, and you can find his videos on thestartingpointproject.com.
Let's talk about the storage capacity of DNA. Let's say you had just a teaspoon amount of your own DNA, and you wanted to back that up onto a thumb drive. We back up our computers in case they crash. So you have a teaspoon amount of your DNA, and you want to back it up on a 64 gig thumb drive. That's a big thumb drive. It can hold almost 10 million pages of text on a 64 gig thumb drive. How much space of that thumb drive would that take up? Just a teaspoon amount of your DNA. How many drives would you need? How about 1,000 drives? That would be a lot, but we need more. How about 1,000,000 drives? That's unbelievable, but that's still not quite enough. You'd have to have someone give you 1,000,000 drives every day for 139 years. And then you'd have enough storage space to back up just what can fit in a teaspoon amount of your own DNA. It's incredible. To me, that screams design, but some people want to believe that just happened by accident.
Well, this is no random chance accident. It's obvious that this is designed because it's information. Information can only come from a mind. And this is the tool that is designed and used by our divine creator. The logical, obvious conclusion to me is that this is created, designed, planned for, forethought. The scientific consensus, which is the majority, millions of scientists, they'll only consider naturalistic materialism. They don't want to allow a divine foot in the door, and they fight against it as hard as they possibly can. And the driving force being random chance mutations. And yet, when you look at the scientific papers, most of which is either neutral or deleterious. And of course, they have the very fanciful natural selection, selective pressure concept. Evolution is the ruling paradigm of the day, not because there is good empirical evidence for evolution. It's all based on wild assumptions, historical unprovable theories, and imaginative just-so stories, and a great deal of deception. And when you look deeply and carefully for the evidence, it's just not there. However, there is an increasingly large amount of people, especially inquisitive young people, who are now seeing through the deception and the smoke and mirrors of the Evo indoctrination. They are seeing the empirical real evidence from the ENCODE genome research, which sensibly concludes that DNA in all biological life systems is far too complex to have evolved. It is logically, intelligently designed by a creative mind. These young people are seeing, they're taught in their schools and universities that evolution is a fact, but they know now, they're starting to see that evolution is a very, very deceptive story. The vast information like we've just seen there, the DNA of trees, flowers and birds' feathers, is planned with foresight in mind. It is designed to be beautiful, to reproduce and give us pleasure. There is a great deal of common sense evidence to be found for intelligent design, for creation. Check out discoveryinstitute.org or on YouTube, Discovery Science Channel. I like to thank God for all the beauty on this earth. I thank Him for my life because I know I wouldn't exist without Him. I thank Him for His holy word, the Bible, because it's absolutely incredible. All the amazing prophecies in it and the promises of salvation. So I'm going to say bye for now, and I'll see you perhaps in the next video. Bye.